All right. Welcome back to another episode of How I Met Your Mortgage. As always, I'm your host, Adam Smith with Just the Tips Coaching. And we've got a wonderful guest for you guys today, somebody we've had on the show repeatedly because we really like the content and information that Devin gives us. So welcome back to the show, Devin Schlaufman. Hi, Devin.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. And just for our audience's sake, I want everybody to know if you are catching the video cast live or in syndication, that shit is not a virtual background. That is actually Devin's backyard with some really cool wraparound screening that she has like a 12-month backyard set up. And she was kind enough to show it to me before we went live, but it is really cool stuff. So thank you for that. I guess your real estate biz, the content you give us on the show is certainly going to rival your backyard setup. But yeah, let's talk. We haven't had you on the show for probably a year or so.
It's been about a year.
Yeah. Been about a year. Hard to believe we've been doing this long. I think this is 7 or 8 years that we've been doing the podcast. So it's been a minute. But you are, again, a new mom in that time frame.
I am. Yep.
Another little one about 8 months ago, you said?
Yes, number 4.
Number 4. Okay. So yeah, you've got your hands full. Do you have time for real estate anymore?
Somehow we make it work.
Devin, there'll be plenty of time to sleep when you're dead.
Yeah, that's what I keep saying.
Okay.
Or children are grown.
You know, it's funny. I hung out with some people over the weekend that are fairly recent empty nesters. So jealous. And they called themselves DINKs. Dual income, no kids.
Yep. Yeah, I've heard the term.
Yeah, I like that idea a lot.
Yes. I'm far from that, but one day.
Well, yeah, you are with only 8 months under your belt of the youngest. Yeah, you've got a few years to go here.
A little bit.
So let's kind of get our audience caught up on what you do and who you are and where you come from. You are a Colorado real estate agent.
I am.
And have been for quite a bit of time now, because
almost 9 years.
I was going to say a decade. Okay. So we're getting really close to that window. And you've seen some things in that time frame.
Just a couple.
How about the last year? Have we seen any things that have been as chaotic as what's gone on in the last year?
You know, it's been interesting because I actually welcome a lot of the changes in a sense. I think we're going to see just a higher level of integrity of agents. So I think, I kind of welcome it with open arms. It's been different. Lots of misconceptions of situations with NAR and interest rates.
Oh, so much in the way of misconception with all of those things. Yeah. And I think part of the problem through the latter half of your career, and frankly, a small portion of mine, has been the media. And they've always been kind of a culprit historically. Whenever we started selling ad time for companies to buy commercials, and it kind of became, very capitalistic, very business oriented. At some point, it stopped being a consumer service about what's actually going on in the town, in the state, in the world, and became a business. And it is. It's part of the entertainment industry. They want to sell their wares just like you and I do. And I had this eye-opening epiphany in the fall of 20. We're doing the Mile High Mastermind Conference, which we're gearing up for here in another couple of weeks. And we do it in the fall, the last weekend of September every year. And we all kind of had this joint epiphany. So we're in this giant ballroom, social distancing. Everybody's got to have their own 6-foot table. It was pretty wild, but it made for still fairly decent interaction. And the media had just become so bloodthirsty when it came to money. We had been glued to our screens, TV, computer, tablet, phone, whatever, for 6 months with the onset of the pandemic. And they're making money. They're raking in money, and they've got to figure out how to keep those dollars up. And from there, it just kind of all spiraled. It became such a nightmare of content. And then, of course, social media spins that even further.
Yep.
Segmented excerpts. We get opinion more than fact on social media, even than in the real media. And it's become out of control. So the NAR settlement one's obviously a very big one in my mind, and you'll have to tell me what you think about these opinions of mine, and then you can substantiate with facts since you are boots on the ground. I think the biggest piece of the puzzle that I want to expose, I want to bust the myth. That was quite the Freudian slip. Is that NAR does not make or enforce law.
Yes.
Whatever direction real estate agents are getting from NAR on what they have to do is recommendation, is suggestion, but we know it's not law. NAR doesn't make or enforce laws. They didn't make any laws. They're not going to throw you in jail if you break NAR's rules, guidelines, whatever it is.
Can we throw some agents in jail? I might not be opposed to that.
They'll get there. They'll get there on their own. Don't you worry. Okay. I've always said there's no one deal that can make your career, but it only takes one to break it.
Absolutely.
So maybe they're coming. Okay, and then this also trickles down and is true of realtor boards.
Mm-hmm.
They don't make or enforce law. They may have suggestions or guidelines about how you should be operating now with the changes to what went on in commission disclosure. Not that anything really changed. Again, that's opinion. You'll have to clarify me. And then, of course, your company. You work for a Keller, you work for a Remax, you work for even a mid-level, whether it's Compass or EXP or whatever.
Yep.
And again, they don't make or enforce law. They may have some rules about how you operate. And of course, if you don't like them, you can go work for another company, I guess, join a different realtor board, on and on. So I guess looking at all of this over the last few months, it really doesn't seem to me that anything has changed, except maybe we've actually got a more open channel of communication. We have to be better. We have to be better. But has anything really changed? What's changed?
Conversations. Those are the big things that have changed for some people. I was always very open and communicative with my clients. I wanted them to know what they were getting into, what that looked like for them long term, from all aspects: their loan, their interest rate, the process of looking at homes. What do I do? What's my role? All of those pieces. But yeah, you're right. There's no law that says we have to do anything different or we're going to be jailed. And that's you
have to have a buyer's agency agreement before someone can come in your open house. That's not the law?
No.
Oh!
Yeah, weird.
Wait, the media's wrong?
Yeah, it might just be a little bit wrong. Now, there's license law, right? Like there are rules and licensing law that I have to follow to ensure that I get to keep my license, that I'm practicing business appropriately. But we have always had rules in Colorado that dictated our behavior. Were we all practicing them? Maybe not. Maybe now people are really hoping to do better. I hope people are doing better.
I think that's an important subject to kind of circumnavigate for a second, though, because the head of the Department of Regulatory Agencies in Colorado, including the Division of Real Estate, said, no, we're not doing this the way that the rest of you are doing this. The consumer isn't going to suffer this. The agents aren't going to suffer this. We're going to, and Marcia Waters is a wonderful woman, absolutely brilliant woman. And she's like, no, we're going to keep this a little more logical, a little more simple than what I can tell is going on in a lot of other states.
Yeah. And it's interesting though, because there's so many agents in Colorado who still don't understand what our licensing law consists of. And I'm seeing it daily. Buyers who come to me, they said they've signed things. They don't know what they've signed. And it's because of a new law. And they couldn't get into the house unless they signed it. And that is not reality for us. The Colorado Association of Realtors has put out lots of information. Dora's put out information stating we are not required to sign those with client. They encourage disclosure of some sort that says, if I show you this property, there is an expectation of being paid. So a disclosure of some sort or a conversation, but forcing people into signing these documents, I think people are going to get tired of it pretty quickly.
I
I
would
think
I
some
would
of
say
it,
that's true.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, it's
Okay.
not going to last forever, and I think that's across the board in all states. I think that the consumer is going to say, "I'm not comfortable here, and I'm not doing this anymore," and there's going to have to be some adjustments to the process. But again, I just hope that just elevates the community of realtors and makes us all better so we can serve our people better.
Okay. Let's talk about the other one that you mentioned, and this is definitely a little bit more in my wheelhouse, which is I don't want to say propaganda, but the misconceptions about what goes on with interest rates.
Mhm.
Because that's really a big one. And in your space, in my space, and for those of you that don't know me or what goes on at Just the Tips, in addition, I have been a mortgage broker owner for 20 years and was a mortgage broker for another company a few years before that, but a loan originator nonetheless, and still am active in that space. So what goes on in mortgage rates is obviously very, very in my face. This is content that I'm obviously very, very familiar with. And we're going to have some additional impacts, what goes on later this month, a couple of times this year, because a lot of mortgage companies, a lot of big real estate companies want people to act on fear. That's the big one. And we're getting teed up for what looks like a pair of what we would describe as Fed rate drops still to come this year. My guess would be a half a point each cycle. And I think it's important because the media isn't going to tell you, and the big companies that are propagandizing things so that you'll act off fear aren't going to tell you. The Fed doesn't have anything to do with mortgage rates. Now, granted, what the Fed does has an impact on all things in the global economy, but the Fed deals in short term rates. The prime rate is something frequently tied to car loans or to credit cards. Mortgages are driven by the mortgage backed securities market, a free market like all other securities, the way that they're brokered. We're a lot more preemptive that way. I'd be willing to bet that you see another half a point drop, and wait, I'm going to get to it, before the Fed meets, and then probably a little bit of a correction. And again, if they do that in the fourth quarter, they'll probably drop more than half a point leading up to a Fed meeting. And when the Fed lowers rates, mortgage rates are going to go up that day. A little corrective because we're preemptive. But most of the time that the Fed raises rates, immediately mortgage rates go down and vice versa because they're not directly tied together. The federal funds rate is not a mortgage rate. Maybe on your HELOC. You might have a prime plus a point HELOC. I'm usually anti-HELOC. If you guys are contemplating it, for those that we have in our consumer audience, I'm less apprehensive about HELOCs now because it does appear that rates are going to adjust down for the rates that those are tied to. Okay, moving on from all of this, I think the piece of the puzzle that we're ignoring, and thank you to our wonderful media, local, state, national, whatever, because we don't report good news because that shit doesn't sell.
Nope.
We report bad news. We want people to act on fear, those kinds of things. Mortgage rates are probably like 2.5 points off their peak last October. We're at the lowest point we've been in 2 years. This coupled with what has gone on with the gross misconceptions with NAR and the settlements and those kinds of things. And there's a soapbox I could get on for days. But on top of all these things, we're in an election cycle. And it feels to me like the entire world kind of has a wait and see attitude. The consumer world has a very wait and see attitude. Let's see what's going on. Because again, mortgage rates are down, way down from their peak, the lowest they've been in years. The inventory on residential real estate is up, way up, like the most we've had in a decade. Now, it's not healthy yet. It's not a balanced market, which we'll probably never see, and we'll certainly never see a buyer's market, that kind of thing. But all of these things are making it a pretty damn good time to buy and own real estate, and it seems relatively quiet.
I think it depends on who you are.
I'm sure that that's true.
Or not. I'm busier now than I've been in a couple years. I had 10 closings.
What about like stuff like DOM? Is it taking
These
longer to sell houses? Are we doing seller concessions? What are you
are,
seeing with your clients?
it's so property specific. And
Okay.
it's like, what is happening that day in the market when your property hits the market? Because I mean, I have had houses sell recently in 24 hours,
Wow.
multiple offers.
Okay.
And then I have other properties where I'm shocked that they're just sitting, and we've taken price drops and whatever. So it really, I think it just, what is happening that day, on the news, on social media, when that property hits the market, what is it going to look like? And it's kind of hit or miss. I think, making sure you correct price points or condition earlier, the better for your property, for it to sell. But they're still moving, and people think that they're not, but houses are selling, buyers are buying. Maybe not, yeah, not at the rate that we've seen, but it's still going. I mean, we're not at a standstill. The market is still quite active, and there's people out there that sellers want to sell, buyers want to buy. We need housing. People still need a home to live in.
You got to have a place to live.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's any denying that with the hard facts, inventory up, rates way down, we should see more activity. That there's definitely a wait and see stigma. It happens in every election cycle. This one maybe more than most.
And I think we have to take that into consideration, is that we are so close to an election that has not been normal from start to finish. And then you add in such misunderstanding of what happened in the real estate world with NAR and the lawsuit, and then interest rates. People, I think, every time they feel like they know what's going on, like another whirlwind of information, regardless if it's right or wrong, comes and hits them in the face again, and it's like they got to start back over. And it's all about having just conversations with your local agent, someone you trust, a local lender, to understand what you're looking at. And the news just does not have it right. And we have to think about the locations at which the news is normally publicized, right? That people see. We're talking about places like New York. Things hit them differently than they hit Kansas or Colorado. And same with.
Oh, you did not just lump Kansas and Colorado in the same category.
To an extent, but it's going to hit us differently. And so we have these big news stations sharing information in locations that are not your average day America. And so I just encourage people to always just talk to their local experts on what is truly happening.
Well, sure. And the media's not that.
I've been busier than I have been in a couple years. So I've got like 5 active listings, and like I said, I have 10 closings in July, 5 in August. I have multiple in September, 3 in September, already a couple set for October. And so things are moving, and I'm just one person. I'm not a team. I'm not, you know what I mean? So to me, the market's great. And I encourage people to look at buying, because there is a great opportunity for buyers right now.
Oh, sure. Oh, I think this is one of the best opportunities we've seen in a good 2-3 years.
Yeah, I would agree.
Absolutely.
I think it's a huge opportunity for buyers.
And I think it's going to change dramatically. I think we're going to continue to see the pendulum swing in favor of lower mortgage rates. I think we will get through our wait and see election cycle.
Ooh.
And when the rates go down further, the demand is going to spike. And I think we're going to start to see things like bidding wars.
Yeah, and those are
appraisal waivers
that I've had with all of the people that have contacted me for buying. Is, yeah, okay, so can you manage your higher interest rate for 6 months, a year, 2 years, or do you want to offer $50,000 over for a property and not get a home inspection? Like, where's your risk tolerance gonna lie? And that was everyone always says, 2020 must have been great for real estate agents, and I have to say that was probably the least enjoyable time in my
Seriously.
life. It was awful. I felt like I was on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Like if we didn't go look at the house yesterday when it was listed today, we weren't going to get it. It was just a hard time. And I hated seeing people put so much on the line for a property because there was 17 other people doing the same. So I just think it's a huge opportunity for buyers. I think it's a huge opportunity for agents to have conversation with buyers about what we're looking at in the market. How do we benefit them? How can they get into a great property at a great price with maybe not the greatest interest rate, but they can fix that in the future?
Absolutely. And I think 2 years would be excessive. I'd be willing to bet that every mortgage that hits the street right now and has this year will be refinanced next year.
Okay. Yeah.
I would say year after outside latest. And yeah, we joke all the time about that horrible, marry the house, date the rate cliche.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, mortgages are ridiculously temporary.
Yeah.
That part of it's silly to me. And all the government stuff, obviously we had people buying in the, sevens, not any higher than that. And I know that was kind of the peak of what interest rates were, although please all of you understand that the majority of mortgages is still retail. I'm in wholesale, so the rates are a little lower. I don't think we saw all that much above 7, but now I'm seeing things in the 4s.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a big change
this year because he knew it benefited him to get into the property at a horrible interest rate and be able to refinance than it was to continue to rent. His rent was 100% interest.
Always, yeah. No question. And your landlords, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so lots of big stuff since we had you on the show last. These are big things. What is any different as a result in your day-to-day, your lead gen activities, what we're doing to find more buyers and sellers? Has any of that changed, or are we still doing XYZ? And what is XYZ?
Not much has changed for me. It really has not. Conversations of education on the consumer part, that has changed a little bit, knowing that there are these misconceptions in the market. So that's changed a little bit. But lead gen, day-to-day work, it's all the same for me. It's been business as usual. I have just continued to provide good service, provide, caring customer service, and business has been the same. It's been good.
Okay. You're not generating leads, finding buyers and sellers because of the fact that you are apparently in an air traffic pattern.
Do you like that? We're right next to the Air Force Academy, so
got it.
Just went over.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's not why I'm generating leads.
Okay, spectacular part of the world, but that's not the MO. So where is it coming from?
It's so
and has it changed?
I mean, I have always taken good care of my sphere. So I add people and subtract people, honestly, pretty regularly to who I market to. What I provide them.
Good stuff.
We do market updates every month so that they know how the market has shifted. And then we provide, when I say we, me and my assistant, we provide fun little, trinkets and gifts, household goods that every month pretty much. And I think I said this last time, but we've sent out things such as like turkey basters for Thanksgiving and wrapping paper for Christmas and just different like fun little household trinkets, that people get excited about.
The turkey baster is a really fun one.
Oh yeah.
That I really dig. And it reminds me, years ago, I was on my way to a mortgage conference in California, and I ended up sitting next to a reverse mortgage originator from Colorado Springs. He had come up to Denver to catch a flight to California, San Diego. And total strangers, although we've been social ever since. And we end up having this monstrous conversation about lead gen and work and so on and so forth that was so incredible that the people sitting around us even made comments after the plane had landed about how great it was to see the two of us interact, in essence, direct competitors, and have this wonderful conversation. But one of the things that he had said along the lines of turkey basters is that when it's, and I'm never going to remember the actual recognized holiday, but like National Firefighters Day or something to that effect, that he sends all of his clients 9-volt batteries for their smoke detectors, which I thought was just a great touch point.
Yeah.
A ridiculously cheap trinket, as it were.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll use it. I'll use a turkey baster, right? Those kinds of things. And who has 9-volt batteries around the house?
Yeah, that's not an item you keep often. Well, and it's funny because like the turkey basters, I probably had 10 people that year who sent me a text and they're like, I literally was leaving the house to get a turkey baster and I checked my mail.
Checked the mail and there was a turkey baster.
Yeah. So, they're fun. It's a lot of work to do those types of things and to keep them interesting. And we're always trying to brainstorm as to what the next one is that we're going to do and what does it look like and how does it benefit, my sphere and past clients, because I always want there to be a little benefit to them and the fact of can they use it? I'm not going to just send people stuff that just sits in their house.
It ends up in the trash.
Yeah, I want that. But I've sent pizza like cutters and
okay, that one we will use.
Yeah, it's great. It was another one where people are like, this is awesome. My most recent one was a little controversial because I sent shooters, like alcohol shooters, in the mail.
Wow. Are we allowed to mail alcohol? Sweet.
I don't know. And they had like little stir sticks and it had like a real catchy little postcard with it. But it was fun and people like tend to enjoy it. So
and when did this go out?
Oh gosh, in August.
Okay, well that's emotional support liquor. That's totally fine.
If
it was in the last few years, you're totally justified.
Yeah, totally. So, that's part of my whole marketing strategy. I do my best to just always stay in touch with people, see how they're doing, what they're up to. And I've got some cheating tools too in my back pocket. I am a preferred Redfin agent, even though I don't work for Redfin as an agent. I am a preferred agent with them. So I do get leads through them. I get leads through realtor.com through their preferred agent network as well. So then there's some tools where I get to cheat a little bit and find random clients. But overall, the big thing that I do is just I ensure I take care of my sphere.
And it's got to be priority number one.
Yeah.
No question. Everybody watching, listening, you guys need to have a desire to get to a point where your business is strictly repeat and referral. And you would hope that it's mostly repeat clients and client referrals. You don't ever want Redfin's activity impacting your business. You guys don't want me originating buyer mortgages, referring them out to my agents, impacting your business. I might decide to retire. I might decide to take a month off, whatever the case may be. You obviously want to make sure that you're the one in control of that volume knob, as it were, when you want your business to go up or down. And of course, if you want it to go up, take a vacation, because that's a surefire way to make sure you never actually get to have a vacation. So that will always be the result there. But yeah, I think that that's a very big deal. And obviously, a lot of what we do at Just the Tips is teaching content on lead generation, contact management, calendar management, social media, video, writing, all of these kinds of things that are going to basically enable you to generate leads. And as a result, we've kind of put buying leads as an afterthought. That's got to be something that's subsidiary to your actual workload of generating buyers and sellers. But boy, you pick up one or two and add to your contact database, add to your audience, right? We just want more people consuming more of our content. That's the whole goal here. Whatever your content is, if it's one-on-one networking, great. If it's mail, snail mail, email, text campaigns, voice campaigns, whatever your content is, you just want more people consuming it. And you never know where that one diamond in the rough is going to come from, where you're finding some new blood and they have a big circle.
Yep.
And if they start referring people and those people start referring people, so on and so forth. So, yeah, I'm definitely not opposed to adding some new strands of a spider web. I don't even really know how to describe it, but putting some completely unique people that are going to have their own complete circles into your system is amazing stuff to do from time to time. So yeah, please, you guys, don't shy away from that stuff. All right. Devin, I told you we'd run long, and we have. I don't have Jen to keep me on track here. We discussed how that was going to look. Although otherwise, I think we did a good job.
I think so. We're only a minute over. That's not too bad.
Well, we're going to run a few, but that's okay. And I really liked the idea of constantly being creative in the knickknacks, for lack of a better term, that you're going to entertain that audience with. I think the pizza cutter's gold. I think the turkey baster is gold. And yeah, who doesn't want emotional support liquor with the state of the world the last 5 years?
Yeah, why not?
It's chaos out there, people. the whole world's a cartoon, and America's leading the way. Go. All right. But Devin, thank you. This has been fantastic, and we will absolutely book another episode. I'm going to assume for now you won't be a new mother that time.
No, I'm done.
We're done? Okay.
I'm tapped out. I tapped out at 4 and I'm good.
One more is a basketball team.
No, I'm good.
All right. Well, we tried, ladies and gentlemen. As for the rest of you listening or watching live or in syndication, thanks for checking us out. We do this live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube on Mondays at 9:30 Pacific, 12:30 Eastern, pretty much every week. And 48 hours later, you can catch the podcast on Apple, Spotify, and Amazon. And all the things, just the tips that you want to know about are available on our website at justthetipscoaching.com. So go check that out. And Devin, thank you, bottom of my heart. I know carving out this kind of time on a Monday morning is no easy task. So again, thank you. We love having you on the show, and we'll do it again soon.
I appreciate it.
It's our pleasure. And I'm going to run our extra. Don't go anywhere. And for the rest of you, thanks for tuning in. And we will see you next time.
Bye.